In the heart of Lagos, a city where dreams rise as high as the skyscrapers, there lived a young lady named Precious. Her spirit was as bright as the sun that set over the Lagos lagoon, but her path was anything but clear. Born into a family that valued education above all else, Precious was expected to follow in the footsteps of her parents, both esteemed professors at the University of Lagos. But Precious had a different dream, a dream that would test her family's love, challenge societal expectations, and push her to the brink of giving up. This is her story. In a quiet room, filled with the echoes of ambition and expectation, Precious sat surrounded by the symbols of her true passion: football. The trophies, the medals, and the posters were all reminders of what she yearned for. But as her father, Professor Williams, entered the room with a university application form in hand, the weight of his expectations hung heavy in the air. Professor Williams, a man of few words but immense pride, believed that a university education was the only path to success. He offered the form to Precious, his eyes filled with hope and insistence. But Precious, with a heart full of dreams, hesitated. "Dad," she whispered, "I want to focus on football." A silence fell between them, thick with unspoken words. Professor Williams left the room, his disappointment palpable, and Precious felt the first sting of what would become a deep and painful conflict. At the dinner table, the tension was intense. The family gathered, as they always did, but tonight was different. Professor Williams, with a tone that brooked no argument, brought up Precious's future. He was certain she would have reconsidered by now, certain that the law of education would overpower her passion for football. But Precious, sitting among her relatives and her siblings, Henry and Amelia, who were both thriving at university, remained steadfast. "I want to pursue football," she said, her voice steady despite the looks of disbelief around the table. Professor Deborah, her mother, tried to soothe the situation, but the disapproval in her husband's eyes was obvious. The dinner continued, but Precious could feel the weight of her family's judgment pressing down on her, isolating her even in their midst. As Precious's determination grew, so did her father's disapproval. He stopped attending her matches and stopped acknowledging her achievements. In public, he spoke only of Henry and Amelia, their academic successes, and their bright futures. Precious was left in the shadows, her victories on the field unnoticed, her dreams dismissed. But Precious didn't waver. The more her father pulled away, the more she leaned on those who believed in her coach Mark, her gym instructor Daniel, and most of all, Benjamin, her boyfriend. Their support was her lifeline, their belief in her being a beacon in the growing darkness of her home life. In the midst of the storm, Benjamin was Precious's anchor. He took her to a quiet spot by the water, away from the noise of the city, away from the judgments that haunted her every step. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden light on the water, Benjamin reminded her of her strength, of her talent, of the future that was hers to seize. "Don't let go of your dream, Precious," he said softly, his words a balm to her weary soul. At that moment, Precious felt a spark of hope, a renewal of her determination. With Benjamin by her side, she knew she could face whatever came next. As Precious's training intensified, so did the tension at home. Professor Williams confronted her one evening after a particularly demanding session. His anger was like a storm, fierce and unyielding. "You're wasting your potential," he accused, his voice sharp with disappointment. Professor Deborah, her mother, ever the peacemaker, stood by his side, her eyes filled with worry. She feared for her daughter's future and feared what might happen if Precious continued down this path. But despite their concerns, Precious found solace in the familiar faces of Coach Mark and Daniel. They believed in her, even when her own family did not. And Benjamin was there to remind her of why she started this journey in the first place. The conflict reached its peak when Professor Williams gave Precious an ultimatum: "It's either football or this family." The words cut deep, leaving Precious standing at the crossroads of her life. For a moment, she almost faltered, almost let go of her dream. but the voices of those who believed in her pulled her back from the edge. With tears in her eyes and resolve in her heart, Precious made the hardest decision of her life. She would leave home, pursue her dream, and face the world on her own terms. It was a painful choice, but one that she knew she had to make. After months of relentless training and unwavering belief, Precious's efforts paid off. An offer came from a top European football club, her dream within reach at last. With the letter in hand, she returned home, hoping against hope that her family would share in her joy. Her father, ever the stoic, was unmoved at first. But her mother, seeing the light in Precious's eyes, knew that this was more than just a dream, it was her daughter's destiny. Together, they persuaded Professor Williams to reconsider. And in that moment of understanding, the walls between them began to crumble. The family, once divided, came together, ready to support Precious in her new journey. With her family's support and her dreams now a reality, Precious boarded a plane to Europe. As the plane soared into the sky, her heart was full of hope and anticipation. She had faced the storm and emerged stronger, her dreams intact and her spirit unbroken. And so, Precious's journey begins, a journey not just to new lands, but to the realization of her dreams. In her story, we see the power of perseverance, the importance of support, and the beauty of a dream that refuses to die. In the years to come, Precious would become a football star, her name known across continents. But more importantly, she would be a beacon of hope for young girls everywhere, proving that with courage, faith, and the support of loved ones, any dream, no matter how impossible, can come true. This is the story of Precious, the unstoppable dreamer.